From a garage desk made out of a door to a wedding aboard a $500 million yacht, Jeff Bezos isn't just rich. He's rewriting what power looks like in 2025. Rockets, robot dogs, supercars, and now a Venetian ceremony fit for royalty. But stay until the end, because what happened after I Do may be the boldest chapter yet in the most expensive lifestyle on Earth. Origins, the birth of a builder. Before the rockets, the robotic dogs, and the super yachts, there was a kid with a science fair poster and a screwdriver. Jeff Bezos was born in Albuquerque in 1964, but his mind always lived somewhere ahead of schedule. Valedictorian in high school, a National Merit Scholar, then Princeton, where he majored in electrical engineering and computer science, because building things wasn't just a passion, it was a plan. After graduating in 1986, he skipped Silicon Valley entirely and went to Wall Street. There he joined D.E. Shaw & Co., a hedge fund built on algorithms and ambition. At 30, he became one of the youngest VPs in company history, but something was missing: scale. The internet was growing 2,300% a year, and Bezos saw it not as a trend, but as infrastructure. So he quit, packed his car, drove to Seattle, and started building a bookstore in his garage. Amazon was born in 1994. Its first office desk, a wooden door nailed to 4x4s. Its first employee, his wife at the time, Mackenzie Scott. They didn't talk valuation. They talked bandwidth, customer obsession, and survival. This wasn't a billionaire's origin story, it was a builder's blueprint. Comment DoorDesk if you think humble beginnings still matter, even when the yacht comes later. And keep watching, because the man who once taped business plans to a garage wall is about to tape a rocket to the sky and host a wedding on the water. The Wedding, a billionaire love story. He's launched rockets, built empires, bought mansions that once belonged to movie legends. But on June 27, 2025, Jeff Bezos didn't stand on a launch pad. He stood on the deck of a $500 million superyacht, saying, "I do," to Lauren Sanchez. The wedding took place in Venice, Italy. Not just anywhere in Venice, but along the Grand Canal, with Carew, his towering super yacht, moored like a floating palace. From the waterline to the helipad, Carew served not only as a luxury vessel, but as a stage, a symbol, a statement that even love, in the Bezos universe, arrives with scale. The ceremony itself blended old-world elegance with futuristic precision. Guests arrived via private jet and water limousine, stepping off onto a floating dock flanked by security and silk-covered lanterns. Inside the historic Venetian palace that followed, marble halls echoed with live strings. But it was Lauren who stole the scene. Her couture gown, designed by a top European house, was rumored to cost over $250,000, satin sculpted to perfection. The guest list? A constellation of power. Hollywood royalty, Silicon Valley founders, European elites, and family flown in from across continents. Michelin-starred chefs handled the menu. Art installations and drone footage replaced traditional wedding decor. And yet, for all its extravagance, the event felt deliberate, curated. Like everything Bezos builds, it was built for legacy. After the celebration, the couple set sail to Sicily for a honeymoon at San Domenico Palace, the real-life setting of the White Lotus. Rooms there start at $7,000 per night. Privacy, panoramic sea views, and history etched into every wall. The perfect retreat for a couple reshaping their future. Comment from Launchpads to Love if you think this is the most cinematic chapter of Bezos's life yet. But don't go anywhere, because this wasn't the end of the journey. In fact, it might have been the soft launch for something far bigger. The Amazon era, code, cloud, and conquest. It started with books. Not billion-dollar mergers, not AI, not streaming wars. Just books. In 1994, Jeff Bezos launched Amazon from a garage in Seattle, betting on one thing: that the internet would rewrite how the world buys, sells, and lives. Back then, the vision was humble, but the ambition, anything but. Bezos didn't just want to create an online bookstore. He wanted to build infrastructure for global commerce. What followed wasn't a company, it was a blueprint for domination. Amazon grew fast, but quietly at first, adding music, movies, then electronics, and finally everything from diapers to data servers. With every click, Bezos watched behavior, optimized logistics, engineered the customer experience like an algorithm wearing a smile. And while other retailers competed for storefronts, Amazon bought warehouses, built robotics, and mastered delivery. Then came AWS, Amazon Web Services. Launched publicly in 2006, AWS became the secret engine behind the internet itself. Companies from Netflix to NASA began hosting their data on Amazon's cloud. And while customers thought they were buying books and toasters, Amazon was quietly becoming the backbone of the digital world. By the late 2010s, AWS was generating more operating profit than the rest of Amazon combined. Bezos had created a company that didn't just sell things, it sold the system that sold things. At its peak, Amazon pushed Bezos' net worth beyond $200 billion, making him the richest person alive. But wealth wasn't the only goal. Control was. Data, distribution, influence. Bezos now held levers that moved industries, and that kind of power reshapes everything. In 2021, he stepped down as CEO and became executive chairman, but this wasn't retirement, it was realignment. The title changed, the vision expanded, because Amazon had become self-sustaining. Now, Bezos had time to focus on the future: rockets, robotics, rare assets, and legacy. His exit from day-to-day operations wasn't an ending, it was a slingshot. And as the company continued to spin at global scale, he shifted his orbit toward the sky, the sea, and something far beyond prime shipping. Keep watching, because what came after Amazon didn't slow him down, it unchained him. Blue Origin, rockets, and the ranch. While most billionaires build up skyscrapers, stadiums, stock portfolios, Jeff Bezos built out. Far into the West Texas desert, beyond paved roads and cell phone towers, he bought land. Not just for retreat, but for liftoff. Blue Origin was founded in 2000, long before commercial space became a tech world trend. While the world watched SpaceX capture headlines with explosive launches and rapid iterations, Bezos kept quiet. He wasn't rushing to win attention, he was planning for permanence. The company's private testing grounds sit on a 300,000-acre ranch nestled near the Guadalupe Mountains. The land itself, purchased for an estimated $75 million, is as isolated as it is intentional. Here, rockets lift off with no fanfare. Only sky, silence, and systems rehearsing for something much bigger than orbit. Bezos calls it gradatim ferociter, Latin for step by step, ferociously. And that's exactly how Blue Origin has operated. No live-streamed countdowns, no splashy press releases, just a methodical pursuit of reusable rockets, lunar landers, and infrastructure designed for generations, not just quarterly results. In 2021, Bezos took flight aboard New Shepard, Blue Origin's suborbital launch vehicle. It wasn't the first manned mission in history, it wasn't the longest or the highest, but it was symbolic. The founder had crossed the Kármán line. For the first time, space wasn't something he funded, it was somewhere he'd been. But the real ambition lies far beyond joyrides. Blue Origin is developing the Blue Moon Lander, a cargo and crew-capable vehicle intended for lunar missions. It's part of NASA's Artemis program, and while contracts and competition continue to shift, the trajectory is clear. Bezos wants to build infrastructure for the moon, for orbit, for beyond. That's why the Texas ranch isn't just private property, it's a private launch complex, a base for future mobility, where rockets are rehearsed not for applause, but for longevity. Because Bezos doesn't just want to visit space, he wants to settle it, slowly, permanently, quietly, until it's not quiet anymore. Keep watching, because the next chapter doesn't take place on Earth, it takes place above it. Real estate, a billionaire's map of America. Some billionaires buy homes, Jeff Bezos collects coordinates. From coast to coast, his real estate empire reads more like a geopolitical strategy than a property portfolio. Each address is a statement, every square foot, curated, calculated, and precisely placed for privacy, influence, or retreat. In Beverly Hills, he owns one of the most expensive private residences ever sold in California, a $165 million estate once belonging to David Geffen, and before that, Hollywood tycoon Jack Warner. The mansion spans over 13,000 square feet and sits on 9 acres, featuring multiple guest houses, a private golf course, and terraced gardens. It isn't just a home, it's a fortress of history, status, and silence. In Washington, D.C., Bezos turned a former textile museum into a residence that now dominates the Kalorama neighborhood. He purchased 2 adjacent properties for a combined $23 million, then poured in renovations estimated at $60 million more. The result? A nearly 30,000 square foot palace of glass, limestone, and legacy, reportedly the largest home in the entire city. From this perch, he's hosted political figures, global CEOs, and perhaps more than one off-the-record conversation that shaped tech policy. Then there's Hawaii. On the lush coast of Maui, Bezos acquired a 14-acre estate for a reported $78 million. The property includes a private white sand beach, a natural fish pond, and a main house surrounded by palm groves. More sanctuary than statement, yet still meticulously guarded. In Manhattan, he owns multiple units at 212 Fifth Avenue, one of which spans 3 floors and cost over $80 million. In Medina, Washington, just outside Seattle, he keeps a waterfront property near Amazon's original HQ, and rumors swirl about a sprawling compound in Austin, Texas, possibly a future command center for Blue Origin or his philanthropic ventures. In total, Bezos's known real estate holdings exceed $600 million, a map of power drawn across zip codes, not borders. Comment mapped like a mogul if you think Bezos's real estate strategy says more about influence than lifestyle. And keep watching, because owning the land is one thing, but what he's building at sea, that's something else entirely. And it floats. Supercars, from Accord to automotive art. Before the rockets, before the $500 million super yacht, before Blue Origin touched the sky, Jeff Bezos drove a Honda Accord, a 1997 model. No tint, no turbo, no upgrades. Just a functional, forgettable sedan that still sits somewhere in his garage like a time capsule from Amazon's earliest days. But step past that Accord now and you'll enter a different world. One lined not with modesty, but with machinery that whispers speed and screams rarity. Take the Koenigsegg Trevita, a Swedish-built hypercar coated in white carbon fiber. Only 2 units were ever made. Bezos owns one. It's worth an estimated $4.8 million. And it's not just fast, it's otherworldly. 0 to 60 in under 3 seconds, with diamond dust embedded in the paintwork. The kind of car that doesn't park, it arrives. Then there's the Bugatti Veyron Mansouri Linea Vivaire, a rare customization of one of the fastest production cars in history. Price tag? Around $3.4 million. Matte carbon exterior, hand-stitched leather. Engine notes tuned like a symphony in hell. The Veyron isn't just a car, it's a declaration. And Bezos's version? Even louder. And parked just beyond that sits the Lamborghini Veneno Roadster, one of only 9 ever built, an open-top razor blade designed not for comfort, but for edge. It's valued at roughly $8 million, and with its alien angles and 750 horsepower engine, it looks more at home in a science fiction movie than on asphalt. Together, these machines form a garage that balances contradiction, the Accord and the Vino, restraint and indulgence. The man who once hand-delivered Amazon packages now owns a fleet that could outrun most private jets, if there were enough open road. But these aren't daily drivers, they're curated pieces, each one selected not just for speed or status, but for scarcity. And yet, for all this automotive firepower, Bezos still lets the Accord stay. Maybe as a reminder. Or maybe because every empire, no matter how fast it scales, starts with a quiet engine and a long road ahead. Stay tuned, because while these machines touch pavement, what he built next? It doesn't touch land at all. Jess, time is the ultimate asset. In Jeff Bezos' world, time isn't money, it's more expensive. While most people plan their lives around airports, Bezos erased them from his schedule, not by skipping flights, but by owning them. specifically two Gulfstream G650ER jets worth a combined $150 million. But these aren't just planes, they're airborne boardrooms, precision instruments of global control, and sanctuaries of silence above the clouds. The Gulfstream G650ER is the crown jewel of private aviation. Capable of flying over 7,500 nautical miles without refueling, it connects Seattle to Dubai or Los Angeles to Tokyo in a single leap. But it's not the distance that defines these jets, it's the way they dissolve time. Meetings in London by morning, inspections in West Texas by afternoon, dinner back in Maui before the sun set. Inside, the cabin feels more like a luxury apartment than an aircraft. Each jet is customized, built with biometric security systems, leather recliners that flatten into beds, and panoramic oval windows that stretch 12 across each side. Soundproofing so advanced, conversation happens at a whisper, even at cruising speed. There's room to sleep 8, hold conferences mid-air, or simply unplug at 51,000 feet where the air is thin and the world feels far away. But these jets aren't just for comfort, they're tools. Bezos uses them for Blue Origin operations, high-level Amazon business and private travel. Each route is calculated, strategic. A logistical advantage for a man who doesn't just manage companies, but moves industries. And when you're orchestrating supply chains across continents, commanding launch pads in Texas, or hosting guests on floating cities, mobility isn't a luxury, it's a requirement. Still, there's a poetic irony here. The man who once sold books out of a garage now skips continents before most people finish their morning coffee. No TSA lines, no boarding groups, just a runway, a closed cabin door, and $150 million worth of engineered silence. Stay with us, because if the skies belong to Bezos, what he's building on the ocean redefines ownership entirely. Robotics and tech, the billionaire hobby shop. Some people collect watches. Jeff Bezos collects prototypes from the future. Tucked away between Gulfstream jets and multi-million-dollar mansions is a small but symbolic addition to his empire, a robotic dog named Spot, created by Boston Dynamics. It walks like an animal, scans like a drone, and carries a price tag of $75,000. But Spot is more than just a novelty. It's a signal. Bezos was photographed walking Spot outside his Medina estate. No leash, no handler, just a billionaire and his robot companion pacing across a private driveway like something from a near-future sci-fi film. The image went viral, not because it was strange, but because it looked inevitable. Spot is built with 360-degree perception, terrain adaptive mobility, and autonomous navigation. It can open doors, inspect infrastructure, and carry payloads. Originally developed for military and industrial use, it's not a toy, it's a tool. And for Bezos, it fits perfectly into a portfolio built not on nostalgia, but on anticipation. Because Spot isn't alone. Bezos has quietly invested in dozens of robotics and AI startups, many through his firm, Bezos Expeditions. From warehouse automation and home robotics to machine learning labs that rethink how computers see the world, he isn't just funding tomorrow, he's curating it. That curiosity started early. Long before Amazon was a global engine, Bezos was tinkering with gears and microchips in his garage. Now he funds neural interfaces and AI labs with 8-figure rounds. What once required a soldering iron now requires satellites and supercomputers. And Spot, despite its compact frame, reflects a larger truth about Bezos's empire. It's not only about scale, it's about systems. Quiet, efficient, scalable machines that replicate human effort or surpass it. Where others see gadgets, he sees foundations, infrastructure, opportunity. Spot may not be the most expensive item in his collection, but it may be the most revealing, because in the world of Jeff Bezos, owning the future isn't about waiting for it to arrive. It's about walking beside it, step by robotic step. Keep watching, because what comes next doesn't crawl. It sails. And it doesn't come with legs. It comes with a name. Super 8 Karoo, his floating fortress. When billionaires run out of land, they build empires that float. Jeff Bezos' super yacht, Karoo, isn't just a vessel. It's a moving kingdom. Measuring 127 meters in length and costing an estimated $500 million, Karoo sails not for leisure, but for legacy. It's larger than a naval destroyer, quieter than a whisper, and built with one goal in mind: total independence. The yacht was custom-built in the Netherlands, where craftsmen and engineers spent years perfecting every curve. Its design blends stealth with spectacle. A support vessel follows behind, carrying toys, jet skis, tenders, and even a personal submarine. There's also a helipad, because when you have Gulfstream jets, landing by sea is just another convenience. But Karoo isn't just about engineering, it's about presence. In June 2025, it hosted the most important event of Bezos' recent personal life, his wedding reception with Lauren Sanchez. Guests didn't just arrive, they boarded. Dignitaries, celebrities, and tycoons stepped onto polished teak decks to celebrate a union not just of love, but of influence. It wasn't a party, it was a maritime summit, curated at sea. Inside, Karoo is rumored to have multiple pools, a cinema, a spa, and decks layered like a private resort. Every inch is bespoke, every material, marble, leather, rare wood, chosen for elegance, endurance, and acoustics. Because when you're floating in international waters, silence is a kind of power. And that's what Karoo really is: power on water. More than just a yacht, it's a control center. Meetings happen aboard, contracts are discussed over wine beneath the stars. When privacy is the last true luxury, this vessel becomes priceless. Comment floating fortress if you think Karoo is more than a yacht, it's a symbol. Jeff Bezos built Amazon, then he bought back time with jets, estates, and a super yacht named Karoo. Now, with his 2025 wedding to Lauren Sanchez, he's anchoring legacy to luxury. From robotic pets to orbital ambitions, this isn't just wealth, it's vision, strategy, and spectacle. What amazed you most? The cars, the ceremony, or the future he's designing? Like this video if you enjoyed the journey, and subscribe to Billionaire Story to keep exploring the lives of those who live far beyond limits.